Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Will Dean, the founder and CEO of Mudder Bootcamp. And at Mudder Bootcamp, you're never alone. Your fellow Mudders will always be there to lift you up, literally. We're going to talk to Will about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Will Dean, the founder and CEO of Mudder Bootcamp. And at Mudder Bootcamp, you're never alone. Your fellow Mudders will always be there to lift you up, literally. Hi, Will. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, this is my pleasure, Will. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Will?
I am in sunny London, England, where it's already the afternoon here.
Oh, that's right. Fantastic. And is it raining there today?
Do you know, it is a beautiful day. We've had the most amazing summer here. So I know your American listeners imagine it rains every day in London, but we're having great weather. People are still wandering around in T-shirts and shorts in October, which never happens here, but it is very sunny.
Great. That's fantastic. I was so happy to have you on the show today, Will, because you were you were there at the beginning. I thought maybe we'd go back to the beginning, and we could talk a little bit about the history of Mudder Bootcamp and, how you really came up with this concept, because I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you. Yes. So let me give you a bit of background on it. So, I started Tough Mudder, the events business first. I'm sure many of your listeners will be familiar with our muddy obstacle courses. And we had a problem. And the problem was that we were seeing 10 to 20% of people were signing up for our events and not even making it to the start line. And that sucks for them. And frankly, it sucks for us because they write to us and they say, I'd like a refund. And so we decided to dig into this, trying to understand what was going on. And what became really clear is that most people sign up for a Tough Mudder. They make their New Year's resolution. They buy their ticket in January for the event in the summer. And then they don't follow a decent training regime. They don't get in shape, and they can't come and do the event in the summer. And so we said, let's see if we can help them with that. And what became really interesting was a couple of things were true. if you work out on your own, it's really hard to achieve your fitness goals. If you do the same thing every day, you get bored really quickly. And so we said these are two really interesting things. Let's see if we can work with those, and let's see if we can create a workout that isn't just for doing a Tough Mudder, but is a workout that anyone can follow easily. And the big two things we tried to do was, first of all, create something that was social and really varied in terms of what you're doing when you come into the space. And so we built this prototype gym in our main office in Brooklyn, New York, and I hired a bunch of people with fitness backgrounds and personal training backgrounds to come in and help us build this. And in secret, for literally 18 months, we ran this kind of stealth gym, trying to figure out what works for people, what's the most effective way of training. And two things came out of that were really interesting. The first one was it's really hard to get good trainers, right? Really hard to get good trainers. And so we tried to create something where the trainer still matters, but the technology is what really drives the variation in the workout. So the trainer doesn't have to worry about an individual, really. They can focus on making sure the class are having fun and that the energy level is high. And the best way I can describe what we've built is it's kind of like we've built this sort of like interactive movie theater where every day there's a different workout sent to a franchisee. It's programmed by our central team of fitness experts who've been involved in the events for years and years. And the idea is that if you're a franchisee and you own one of the Tough Mudder Bootcamps, then all you really have to do is set out the equipment around the 6 zones in the space, and it really is as simple as kind of pressing play on a movie. And you have the workout zones, and the whole hour, it's an hour-long workout, is broken up into 7-second increments. And we had fun in Brooklyn because I said, look, we've got to see what this is like when we try it with a bad trainer. And so we purposely interviewed some trainers with the idea of trying to find bad trainers and to see if we could still put on a good workout, even if the trainer's not great. And of course, we would never want to go and do that, for real. But we wanted to test it. And what became clear is actually, with a great set of technology and the TVs explaining what you have to do and a great soundtrack and everything broken into 7-second increments, you can get a lot done in an hour. And the other thing that became really obvious was you have to make it fun. And of course, working out at 7 in the morning, it's not like fun, like, going for a few drinks or something on a Saturday evening. But you have to try and make it social, group-based, and create interaction. And, many of your listeners will probably know Tough Mudder are the events. They're not races, they're challenges. It's all about doing it with your team. And how could we bring that ethos into what we were doing? So, you're working together with a partner, you're moving through the workout with that partner. And what was really interesting when we did all the testing, and as I said, we ran this thing for 18 months in stealth mode, was people would come to our test workouts and they'd say, please partner me with that person again. I had so much fun working out with that person. And I said, well, you literally just met each other. So that was fun. And then, look, and then the other things that, so we felt, first of all, we thought we'd built a really great workout. And we thought that we'd solved one of the biggest challenges in studio fitness, which is how can you create something that's really economic where you don't end up having to spend a huge amount trying to attract really expensive trainers. And to be clear, you still need to have a good trainer who's high energy, but they don't have to be someone who's thinking about the technical components all the time for the 30 people in the class. And so we've been able to address that. And then the biggest thing that Tough Mudder has, which as far as I can tell no other fitness franchise out there has, is we have a database of 3.5 million people that have done our events. And we know where those people live, quite literally, because they have to, when they sign up, they have to tell us where they live, they have to sign a declaration. And so if you're buying a territory off us, we can say to you, this is how many mudders live within 7 minutes drive of your location.
That's great.
And this is these are literally their addresses. So you should email them, but you should also go and put a flyer through each door, and you should knock on their door and tell them to come down and see this space, which is just unique within the studio fitness space. And I'm an entrepreneur. This is my 3rd business now, and I said to the team, I said, I think we might sell 100 franchises in the first year. And of course, everyone in the franchise industry said, Will, you're insane. You'll never be able to do that. And I said, look, we have this brand. It's a brand that everyone's heard of. We have this huge database, right, which is really important in terms of bringing customers into the gyms, but also really important in helping trying to sell the franchises in the first place. We've been able to go direct to the consumer. We have so many people that have done Tough Mudders all over the world, and you may have heard this statistic before. 20,000 of those Tough Mudders have the Tough Mudder logo tattooed on them. And that should tell
incredible.
You something. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I am not one of them. That's nearly always the next question I get. But we have 20,000 people that have got the logo tattooed on them, which is just amazing. And it tells you something about some of the die-hard brand ambassadors that we have out there. And we were able to say to them, look, here's your chance to create your own Tough Mudder community. Because this is already happening. Mudders get together. Right. They have meetups in cities. They get together before the event. They have a dinner before the event, they have a dinner after the event. And the big thing that we can say to anyone coming into one of our gyms is, look, the 3 ways you achieve your fitness goals are you train with a goal in mind, doing something like a Tough Mudder, and hey, right. By the way, we're all going to bring someone out to one of the Tough Mudder events, and we're going to have a bus on the day, and we're all going to make our own T-shirts, and when we get out there, we'll have our own start wave, and we'll be going off with the other Tough Mudder boot camps from the area, and then that evening we're all going to go for dinner. It'll be a good time. So that's the first thing we can say. Secondly is, look, it's really varied. You never do the same workout twice. There are literally 900 different exercises that we work together in millions and millions of different combinations, so you never get bored. And then thirdly, it's social. And that actually is the most important thing. If you want to achieve your fitness goals, work out with other people. Because if you try and do it on your own, you just don't. We read so many stories. We met with so many people that said, look, I go to the gym on my own after work. I go on the elliptical for half an hour. I'm bored out of my mind. I go home. I have a beer, pizza, and some ice cream. And I wonder why I'm not getting into better shape.
Right. Exactly.
And the answer is that, you have to make it fun. And so... I'm really proud. I mean, I can't take any of the credit for it. It was really the team that built this. We hired some people with a studio fitness background. We already had great trainers from the events. We were already putting content out there, giving people guides as to how to train online. So, it became very logical for us to say, okay, let's take it to the next step. And, we were really clear as well that we've got to build something that doesn't just work in markets like New York or LA or London. Where people are paying $40, $50 a class. So that's great in those markets, but, there's only so many places you can take something that's doing that. We were trying to create something where the unit economics were way better. So, it depends, of course, where in the world you're building this and the local costs. But my aim was, look, we want to try and build a studio that all in terms of the cost of franchise fees, build out, permits, all the rest of it, is under $200,000. Because if you can achieve that, and that was my remit to them, when you go out to market, you don't need to have thousands and thousands of people turning up just for this thing to break even. It can break even on a couple of hundred members. And if we can say to someone that there's 1,000 mudders living within 7 minutes of you, we're giving them a huge head start. So that's what we're doing. We've been really blown away by it. And I always say to everyone working at Tough Mudder, look, Tough Mudder's not curing cancer or bringing peace up to the Middle East, but we are getting people to live happier, more active lifestyles, and we're bringing people together. And we live in this age, where we all report that we're on social media and we're more lonely and more anxious than we used to be. And I won't pretend that Tough Mudder on its own is solving all those problems, but I do think we're part of the solution. Getting people to be healthy, active, feeling good about themselves physically, but also feeling good about themselves mentally. This idea that together you're stronger than as an individual, and through the support of each other you can achieve things you couldn't do on your own, is really central to the ethos of this. My background prior to starting Tough Mudder was UK counter-terrorism, and of course everything you do there is part of a team and a real sense of camaraderie. And I want to try and capture some of that and that spirit into what we're doing with Tough Mudder Bootcamp. And so far so good, and we're having a lot of fun, and I think our franchisees are having a lot of fun. They certainly tell me they are. Right, again, they're changing lives. They're getting to see the difference they're making in people's lives. People who are losing weight, people who are doing things that they thought they could never do before. And it's a new business for us. We've been in the events for a long time, but it's clearly a very logical extension of what we're doing. And I'm so proud of. Every week I get people writing to me and they say things like, I was getting bullied at work, and I did a Tough Mudder, and I went into the office on a Monday morning with my orange headband on after the event, and I said to my boss, you don't get to speak to me like that anymore. I'm a Tough Mudder. And I mean, good for those people. It says more about them than it does about us. But the fact that we're part of transforming people's lives. And the fact that we're giving the gym operators, the bootcamp operators, an opportunity to also be part of that and build a community, bring people together, it's fun. And I hope that comes across. I'm English, so I always get this feedback when I'm in the States that I don't sound energetic or positive enough. But
no, I'm not getting that at all.
Okay, well, I'm certainly having fun with this.
It's what an amazing story. That's it's really one of the reasons we started the show. Will, is as you're telling the story, I just said that this is really incredible. Did you know early on, Will, that franchising would probably be your means of distribution? I mean, it seems like it's a very simple model to duplicate anywhere in the world. So did you immediately think this would be a good model for franchising?
Yeah, and I thought that for a couple of reasons. The first one was, the Tough Mudder brand, not just in the States but around the world, is of course now a very big brand. Millions of people have done the event, and also from all walks of life. Like when I'm in New York or something, people always say, "Oh, I just always assumed it was like white finance professionals that do the event." And I said, "No, that it's just that you're a white finance professional and you know other white finance professionals, so like the people who do Tough Mudder that way." But it's a really broad tribe. Like we talk about it as the Tough Mudder tribe, and so I knew for this to work, we can get to a stage where we can have 1,000, maybe more units in the United States, and that number again in the rest of the world. We're very big in the UK and Germany, Australia, big markets for us. And so it seemed to me that to achieve the kind of reach we wanted to achieve, it's going to be necessary. Secondly, we knew that we had these die-hard members of the community that would be excited on this, not just because they want to be part of the community and do more, but because it's a great business opportunity as well. At the end of the day, people are not opening one of these things just because they love Tough Mudder. They do the analysis, they look at the potential return on investment. They build their model and they say, well, I don't need a great deal of members to break even. Like the cost of building one of these out is a fraction of most of the other studio fitness concepts out there. You're not seeing big expensive treadmills in there or other expensive equipment. They've built something that doesn't require like a ton of expensive people working in it. And so this is a great business opportunity. And I was very clear that businesses succeed or fail based upon the passion and the commitment to the people on the ground. And here it seemed like we had a great opportunity to put those things together with a great concept. So right from day one, franchising to us felt like it made a lot of sense.
It's a great, when I was watching the videos online, Will, that's what I got out of it. It's a fun franchise opportunity. We have a lot of different types of categories that come on our show. It could be automotive, transmission franchise, tax franchises, and as I was watching yours, I said, wow, this is something where, as you mentioned, your franchisees sound really satisfied with their job. They're having fun as well as your customers are having fun, and that's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it just makes it easier. I always tell people, like you can't expect to have fun all the time. Some parts of any job are going to be more fun than others, but, like getting people together, there are moments that are genuinely amusing in the work and everyone comes together and like you can't take yourself too seriously. I think that's what we've always tried to tap into. And, if you, we're of course here today to talk just about the boot camps, but, our business really has three components to it. We have the events business, we have the gym, the franchising business, and of course we also have the TV business, and we have this major partnership with CBS. And again, I don't know of any other franchise concepts out there that can say, we have an hour-long broadcast special on CBS, not CBS Sports, on Christmas Day, on December 25th for an hour. And we were always very focused that what we're trying to do is build an ecosystem for the tribe. Training is part of that, the events are part of that, the media and the content is part of that. And for us, it was about bringing it together as a whole. And being part of something bigger than yourself. I don't pretend I may have started Tough Mudder, but Tough Mudder is, much more than Will Dean these days. It's a tribe, it's a community, and you get to be part of that.
That's terrific. How has Will or does technology play a role in the business, or how do you use technology?
Yeah. So what became clear to us really early on is that trying to find great trainers is tough. I was blown away with Barry's Bootcamp, which is a high-end studio in New York City and LA and a few other cities. Their trainers get paid $180,000 a year to work 16 hours a week. I know, 16 hours a week, $180,000. And I said, and why is it? It's because like great trainers can fill out the class. I said, look, okay, that's fine, but like most of the places we're going to be opening our studios, like people are not going to be paying the trainers $180,000 a year. Right. I mean, that's almost what it costs to open one of these things. And so what we said is, can we use particularly TV in an integrated manner with music and with the equipment in there to create something, I hesitate to use the phrase, but basically runs itself. So in the morning, if you're a franchisee, you get a file, it's a couple of megabytes, you download it, and you have in the space itself, you have a set inventory of equipment, mostly free weights, no big complicated machines that you'd see in a traditional gym, and you have 6 workout zones. There are 7 TVs in total. At each workout zone, you have 2 individual exercises, and you get this file, it loads onto the operating system in the individual gym, and you hit play, and it runs for an hour, and it tells people through the hour, okay, we're all doing a group warm-up now, we're all doing the same thing for the next minute, and then it beeps, and then you all get paired off onto different workstations, and I might be doing press-ups, and you might be doing kettlebell swings, and then it beeps, and we swap over, and then we do that for a couple of minutes, and it's very, very clear from everything that happens in the space. I can't really do it justice over the phone, but if you come and see it, or you see one of the videos online, and then you move to the next station. And what was really interesting, and I'm going to stereotype half the population here, but men do not like following instructions. That really came out of our our research. Women are so much better at this. Women are so they pay more attention than men. Men get to the front, and the instructor says, okay, we're going to do A, then we're going to do B, then we're going to do C. And so the guys go off and they get to A and they start doing A, and that's great. And then it beeps, and then they all turn to each other and say, hey, hang on, what are we doing next? And what these TVs give you is a quick reference to be like, oh, yeah, I get it, I remember, right? I'm supposed to be doing kettlebell swings now. And it just means the whole thing, again, I hesitate to use this phrase, but it basically runs itself. And the playlist is integrated, the sound is integrated. And in the testing, as I said, we even said, look, we believe in the technology so well, let's bring in some terrible trainers. So we had these really fun interviews in Brooklyn where we brought these people in, and we all said, yeah, this guy's going to be terrible. And they'd say, really, I got the job? I didn't think the interview was going so well. I said, well, come and test it, test it out. And we saw from the feedback, look, a great trainer, of course, makes the class better, but a bad trainer can't ruin the class. It's still a good class, even with the average or not particularly good trainer. And we even at times said, look, let's just see what happens if for a minute the trainer doesn't say anything. Just are things still kind of running themselves? And they are. And so, it's not like we're using cutting-edge technology, but what we have done is we've integrated a bunch of pre-existing stuff, audio systems, pretty simple computing systems, graphical user displays. And the file you get is basically just a music file and a set of GIFs, like those little, very simple moving images. And they appear on the screen, but it's enough. It gives you everything you need to get through this 45-minute workout. And I'm calling it an hour because it's an hour door to door, right? From walking in through the front door to getting back out. It's an hour. You're working out for 45 minutes during that. And, we're pretty unique in terms of, what we've done there. And I'm not trying to knock it, but, if you compare that to, say, a spin class, cycle studio, there's only one thing you can do in that, right? You get on your bike and you spin for an hour. Right here, we have essentially 30 different pieces of workout machinery, all very simple stuff, battle ropes, free weights, kettlebells, not much stuff in there. And your viewers can go on, your listeners can go online and kind of see exactly what goes into a boot camp. But there's not a ton of stuff in there. It's only a 2,000-ish square foot space, get up to 36 people in there. And the idea was, with these 30 different pieces of equipment, all very simple, you can actually produce hundreds of different exercises, because of course a lot of these exercises you can do with human body weight, like if you're doing a push-up or a sit-up or whatever else. And a lot of the best exercise, you just don't need a lot of this expensive stuff. And so we have 900 different exercises pre-programmed, and then our expert trainers who are putting this together, they put something together to create an all-round body workout. So you're never doing the same workout twice, because I'm sure there's someone on there that's better at math, or maths as we would say here in England. But you have 900 choices, then you have 899 choices, then you have 898 choices, and you multiply that up through the whole workout. you have a lot of different ways you can configure this, so you're never doing the same thing twice. And that was huge because people get bored. They just get, right? There's a reason why if you're on an elliptical, you have to watch TV whilst you're doing it. It's mind numbing. So that's how we've integrated technology, and we do think that's a huge point of differentiation from other workouts out there. And I think we're seeing now that the initial franchisees that came to us, and this is a very important point, the very first few were Tough Mudder diehards. They'd come and they'd seen the test space that we'd built in our offices in Brooklyn, and they really believed in what we were doing. They believed in the product, they believed in the brand, they believed in the community. But what we're now seeing is people who are making just clear professional investor decisions, and are buying 10 units at once. The fact we've already sold over 50 units and we're on track to exceed our goal of 100 units sold this year. It's just amazing, for us. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, it's not the English way, but we've been blown away by what we've achieved to date. And now increasingly we're seeing it's not just people who love the Tough Mudder brand, but people are saying, well, you have a great product. The unit economics on this are just incredible. Right. From a management perspective, it's wonderful because the technology is doing 90% of the work for me here. Really, I just need to open the doors and have someone check people in, and then they're off to the races. This is just a great business opportunity, and that's why we're seeing we're selling 10 units in individual cities. And this is maybe the statistic I'm most proud of, and it's the team that deserve it. Right, our current conversion rates from our discovery days is 100%.
That's incredible.
I know. Everyone we're bringing along is buying right now, and of course we're selective in who we bring in. We won't just invite anyone down. We want to make sure we're bringing in people that we think can do a great job, that can look after the brand, because at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur and Tough Mudder's my baby, and I only want to work with people that I like and I trust and I respect. And so we are pretty discerning, and we have said to some people, look, we don't think even if you've got the money, we don't necessarily think you're the right person for us here. But the people that we're bringing into the discovery is 100% conversion. So long may this continue. And then remember as well, the nature of what we've built, it's easy to keep innovating and coming up with new workouts. It's not like...
That's true.
Yeah, right? It's not like we're saying, hey, buy this expensive bit of equipment and, you can have like one new thing. We're able to say, look, the team, there's personal trainers and trainers that we're working with, have put together a whole suite of stuff. And also franchisees get discounts to buy tickets for the event, so there's a resale opportunity for them. We want the trainers to say, hey, I'm bringing a team together, and we're going to have a bus and it's going to take everyone out, and we're all going to have our own T-shirts, and you can buy it cheaper from me than you can buy it on toughmudder.com, and that's a secondary incentive for them as well.
That's terrific. You mentioned some of them, Will, as far as like characteristics, are there any other characteristics? It sounds like, of course, passion, it seems like it's very important to you, somebody who appreciates the brand and has as passion. Is there anything else you look for? When you're meeting with a prospective franchisee, you do turn, a lot of them down. What do you look for? What else do you look for?
So, it's, of course, we look for some stuff that I'm sure most other businesses out there would look like. Do we believe they can, they have the management skills, the business skills to operate a gym? And there's parts of it that's tough, right? Like you have to be up early in the morning. Right, of course, the busy times are in the morning and the evenings before most people go to work and on their way back from work. It matters. Like people are going to come in, right? They want to make sure this thing's clean, right? Things need to happen on time. People don't want to be taking 7-8 minutes to check in. They want to turn up 2 minutes before the workout. Drop their bag off, be straight into it. So you need to be a sophisticated business professional. The other thing that's true is, yes, we have the database, and yes, we can tell you where all the Mudders live, and of course there are other channels available to us that no other franchise has. But make no mistake, right? You have to pound the pavements, right? You have to bring people in yourself, and we can help get people through the door. But converting those people who are trialing into members, right? You need to be able to give them a great experience, at the end of the day, Paul Whitman blame their tools. We think we've got a great workout there, but you've still got to hire the right people, have to got the right judgment there as to what it takes to build a strong team on the ground. And then you've got to convert people. People who come in through the front door, who have a great workout. You've got to catch them before they get back to their car. You've got to hit them up on email afterwards. And there are no shortcuts in this world. At the end of the day, a franchise succeeds or fails not on the quality of the concept on it in of itself. That's only half the equation. It's the franchisee on the ground. So you need somebody who has business smarts, who isn't afraid of some hard work, who will roll up their sleeves and pound the pavements and do the hard work to bring people in, that will listen to the feedback they're getting from their customers if they're not converting at the rates they can. And not everyone out there is a great listener. These are like some of the things that we're looking for. But it's not an arduous process. We said, we have people fill in a form, toughmudderbootcamp.com, and very simple form. They have an initial call, and it's a two-way process. It's as much about the franchisee getting to know us as them, and no one. It's not in Tough Mudder's DNA to do a hard sell. Yes, of course we have a sales team, but they understand this doesn't work in the long term if they're bringing the wrong people into the equation, and we know all too well that there are some studio fitness concepts out there that have sold a bunch of units and half of them don't get open, and that's not the business we're in. We've been producing events now, in 20 different countries now, for the best part of 10 years. Tough Mudder delivers on its promises, and if we're going to have partners, they need to do that too. So we need to be able to provide them with all the support they need, from finding the great locations to finding the right teams on the ground, all the training that goes into that. And that's something that we're proud that, an industry I didn't know that much about, frankly, 4 years ago. It's been a steep learning curve, but I think we are best in class on all of those fronts now. But, you fill in a form, you have an initial conversation. If that goes well, have a follow-up conversation with the senior person, and we say, great, come along to one of our discovery days in our main offices in Brooklyn, New York, and we'll take things from there.
Is that where the training takes place as well for your new franchisees? Well, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I imagine the training is it's fun and informative at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, yes. So we've built a full mock-up. It's not a commercial operating gym. It's a prototype space. It's where we develop the new workouts as well. We bring in mudders of all shapes and sizes to test stuff out before we roll it out, which, again, I think is pretty unique that we have that kind of test kitchen. So, yes, we built this. Our main offices are in Brooklyn, New York. We have offices, of course, all over the world now. I'm speaking to you from our office in London, but our main one is Brooklyn, New York. So the Discovery Day happens there. And then as you move through this, the franchisee, the general manager, if they're going to have a manager in there that's not the franchisee, the trainers themselves, they all come to New York. And we have a series of modules for each of them that takes them through what it means to be successful, how they run the workouts, how the technology operates, everything you need to be successful within that. And that happens out of New York. But, of course, over time, we have 50 units sold now. We'll have 100 by the end of the year. We will be adding more owner-operator units as well. We're certainly seeing the economics are great on this. Tough Mudder has investors, and our investors are saying, Will, you should take some of these territories for yourself because the economics are great here. And who knows, in a couple of years' time, this might be a bigger business for you than the events business with its 3.5 million participants. So yes, the aim is really to be in every state, and also very important to flag that when we look at studio fitness outside of the United States or outside of North America, most markets we go to, it's a less developed market, and again we have this unique position that we already have millions of mudders there. In the UK alone, this year we'll have 200,000 people do our events. Out of a population of 65 million. I mean, that's a meaningful chunk of the overall population of the country. Right.
What in studying your background, Will, I was very impressed. You definitely have all the characteristics and traits of an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? Because as you know, I mean, there's a lot out there, isn't there, to choose from?
Yeah.
So from everything you've learned up to this point, what would you say to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
Yeah, what I've observed of successful people over the long term is successful people are happy people. They make choices that are consistent with their own values and beliefs. And I know a couple of entrepreneurs who've made a lot of money, but they're not very happy. They didn't enjoy it. They found it stressful. They were in an industry they never found that compelling. But those are the exceptions, because in my experience, if you enjoy it and you really enjoy what you do and you derive a sense of reward and purpose and fun for it, it doesn't feel like work. And I would tell everybody, if you can get to that place, and you can enjoy, if not everything you're doing, at least the bulk of it, and the people you're working with, both at the franchise level, but also at the franchisor level, you're enjoying those interactions. It just becomes so much easier. And so, as you think these things through, of course you have to do the kind of cold, hard-nosed analysis of saying, look, where do I think I'm going to get the best return on my capital? But at the end of the day, business succeed because of the capital invested and the people within them, and you've got to get people that believe in that. And I'm sure you get people on here that have great business opportunities, right? In industries that I would be completely ill-equipped to get involved in, right? Because I just wouldn't have the passion. And so I would tell people, make decisions that are consistent with your values and your purpose. And that doesn't mean to say you should pick something that is a bad business, but it doesn't have to be the thing that tops the table if you think you're going to have fun with it. So in my experience, successful people don't just make money, they enjoy what they're doing, because if they enjoy what they're doing, it becomes so much easier to make money, and they're happy and they have fun, and other parts of their life are in balance too. So pick something that's consistent with your values. That is the most important piece of advice I could give anyone.
I think that's excellent advice. So if you could look into a crystal ball, Will, like 3 to 5 years down the road, where do you see Tough Mudder Bootcamp?
Yeah, so I think, clearly we see a very clear geographic expansion for us in the United States. We believe we can, there are over 1,000 territories where our brand is relevant, where we believe we can put one of our boot camps. We look at that number internationally. We think we can achieve something similar. Like all good businesses, we don't want to rest on our laurels. We're constantly innovating. I'm upgrading the team right now, so we have more trainers putting out more great content. What I hope we see is that these form communities. One of the things I'm always impressed with when I go into something like a Harley Davidson dealership in the United States is it doesn't really feel like a sales channel. It doesn't feel like a showroom. It feels like a community hub. And I think success for us isn't just, hey, this is great, we've got loads of people and the business is doing well. I mean, hopefully that's all true. But on top of that, we can say, look, here are all these people that made friends, right, that have new friends as a result of it. They're in physically better shape and they're in mentally better shape because of the self-esteem they found through coming to the Tough Mudder Bootcamp and doing the Tough Mudder events, the sense of community that's so central to everything that Tough Mudder's about. I hope in some small way, as we look to the future, we can say, hey, look, Tough Mudder is making the world a happier, healthier, better connected place. I think that's what success, right from day one has always meant from us in the events business. And we've only ever moved into businesses that we believe are consistent with our values and our mission. And I think we can do that here.
Well, that's fantastic. What's the best way for our listeners, Will, to get more information on Tough Mudder Bootcamp as a franchise opportunity and even the service itself? Are there any websites that you'd like them to go to check out?
Yes. So our website is toughmudderbootcamp.com. You can also get to just Google Tough Mudder, and you'll be able to follow there to the bootcamp page. A lot of information about where the current bootcamps are that are already open, where ones are that are going to be opening soon, and lots of information there about it as a franchise opportunity. If you're interested, it's a very simple form. One of our team will give you a call up, you'll get to know us a bit better, we'll get to know a little bit more about you, and if we think that makes sense, then we'll have another couple of conversations, and then we'll get you down to our headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, to come and see what it's all about, meet all of the team, see some of the unique things that we think makes Tough Mudder special. So toughmudderbootcamp.com.
That's fantastic. My family is from Brooklyn, so I get back about 2 or 3 times a year. Well, so next time I'm in the area, I'm gonna stop by and look you guys up, because I think this is an amazing opportunity. Carroll Gardens.
Thank you. Okay, very close. So we're in Metrotech in downtown Brooklyn. So
sure, yeah,
a mere 10-minute walk from there. Yeah. So please do. We'd love to host you. And if you want to learn more about it, of course, the studios are opening all over the country. So, and by this time next year, we'll have over 100 open. So get down, do one of the workouts, and see what you make of it yourself. And I think what people will see is it's people of all shapes and sizes. It's not just elite fitness. It's not just all men or all women, right? It's all different groups, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of. If you do a Tough Mudder event, you go anywhere in the world. If you see another Tough Mudder T-shirt, they'll high five you, they'll say hi to you, because it's a community, and I think you'll see that in the boot camps as well.
Well, I've really enjoyed speaking to you today, Will.
Oh,
I'd
likewise.
like to, invite you back again in the future, because I think this
Please
is an amazing franchise opportunity.
Oh, I hope you'll have me on again.
The show.
Of course.
You
Best
got
of luck
it.
with everything. Thank you again.
Thanks so much, Will. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822. Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. Well, one of the shows I strongly recommend listening to if you're an aspiring entrepreneur is Stop Riding the Pine. And the show is hosted by Jamie J. And Jamie is an amazing interviewer. He speaks with entrepreneurs on a variety of topics. And I had the pleasure of appearing on Stop Riding the Pine. And one of the topics that Jamie and I were focusing on were key elements to successful franchising. So this particular clip of Great Quote in Franchising, we're going to call this "There's No Creativity in Franchising," and we're going to explain why. What do I want this franchise to do for me? Why are you considering getting into franchising? Because, a lot of times people that get into franchising, Jamie, I think probably should not get into franchising. They'll go into it for the wrong reasons. Well, they'll see the success of one franchise and they'll say, God, I wish I owned one of these. But that doesn't mean that they should necessarily buy into a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. And sometimes they go into the wrong franchise opportunity. So they might be suited for a franchise, but they're getting into the wrong franchise, So I think you really have to be open, to all the different categories that are out there. Again, going deep within yourself and asking yourself, what do I want this franchise to do for me? If you don't want to work on weekends, then don't get into one of these like children franchises where they're real busy on Saturdays or Sundays. So you have to say, what do I want it to do for me? And you ask yourself those deep-rooted questions.
Perfect. I think that's huge. It's very important for people to not jump into something.
Absolutely, because it's expensive too, Jamie. I mean, a lot of times, you're signing a 10-year contract, which is 10 years of your life. It's a long time, isn't it? I mean, it's
oh my
almost
gosh.
like
I won't compare it to the sanctity of marriage, but
Right.
sometimes it goes further than that, I mean, having that 10-year commitment, so it is a very big commitment financially. It's a big commitment. I think you have to have the support from your family, whether it's your wife and your children, because the first year, typically from what I've learned in doing this show such a long time now, is it takes a long time to get it off the ground. Even if it is a Subway franchise or a very recognizable brand name, you're still going to be putting a lot of work into it. So
Right.
you might be missing that time from your family. And sometimes people get into franchising for the wrong reasons as well. Maybe they'll have a bad day at work, and they say, "Oh, I hate my boss."
I'm out of here.
I want to be my own boss. And again, franchising may not be the best alternative for that type of person. There's so many different types of levels of entrepreneurship. Franchising is just one. I mean, you could just initially start your own business where you get to be the creator. There's no, I hate to say this, but there's no creativity in franchising sometimes. I mean, you have to follow somebody else's creation, and that's okay for some people. For me, it wouldn't be. And I assume in getting to know you over time, you might have trouble with that as well, because again, you like to create.
I couldn't get outside of the structure, but I understand why that would be a good thing, because
exactly,
okay, they've been there, they've done that. You won't make the same mistakes that the original franchisor made, because they found the solutions along the way, and that's part of the attraction for franchise.
Exactly. I published. It sounds like I'm bragging, Jamie, but I just got one of a paper published in.
You deserve it.
A journal.
If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Jamie J of Stop Riding the Pine, all you have to do is go to stopridingthepine.com, and you can hear the whole podcast. And lastly, we just want to thank everyone for making this podcast such a big success. It's hard to imagine that we've been doing it now 10 years ago. It was one of the things I was talking about with Jamie on the show, is the longevity of the show. Is what started out to be a 1-month project turned out to be 10 years. So I just want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast and making it such a success. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.